Welcome everybody, it's Karen. Thanks for stopping by. I have got some snowflake cards to share today. I'm using the Paper Rose new Christmas snowflakes as well as all these word sentiment dies here. Now these are beautiful. You can see that lovely scrolly bottom on the bottom of the piece right there. And they've all got that. They're just so pretty when you die cut these out. So let's make some snowflakes. I am starting with a piece of watercolor cardstock and I'm going to use these Pixie Sparkle powders. Now there are lots of these around. This happens to be the ones from Cosmic Shimmer, but there are so many of these available right now. So this one is teal marine and I'm tapping it on. You can see I've wet my paper on both sides so that it doesn't curl. This color is Blue Wish, and then this one is Heavenly Hues, and so it's a bit more of a purpley bluish color. So just spreading those all over, and then you want to wet them down. Now you can choose to not put too much water on and there'll be a more speckly look, and the more water you add, the more it's going to blend and make a watercolored kind of a look. So I just spread that on. You want to give it a minute or two to bloom, but then it wasn't moving as much as I wanted, so I added a little bit more water, and then finally I went in with my paintbrush just to start moving it around. So then you want to set that aside to dry or use your heat gun. And this is how the Pixie Sparkles turn out. There's quite a sparkle to them, and here they are cut into snowflakes. Now that wasn't enough for me, so I'm adding this grit paste snowfall from Distress. It has a bit of a frosty, it says translucent, but I don't know that I would call it translucent, but it is a bit frosty looking when it's done, so I'm spreading it on right on my craft mat. I did try putting this on the cardstock first and then die cutting, and maybe because my cutting plates are warped, but I just had the hardest time to get those snowflakes out. Now I'm adding some glitter to these as well, just to really bump up the shine and sparkle on these. So this is Diamond Frost glitter from Cosmic Shimmer. It's just a nice white kind of a glitter. Now I flipped that over and I'm picking up a bit more of that glitter off my glass mat there, and so there it is, still wet, and here it is dry. So it is maybe a little bit more translucent, but it's still quite a frosty kind of a look. Now if you get some snowflakes that don't have enough, you can always wet them and reapply a bit more powder to them. Okay, so for these snowflakes I'm going to use my alcohol inks and a Copic refill, which I'm holding there. So I started by putting some ink blending solution down, and then I'm just spreading some of these. I wanted to get some purpley blues, some silver on this. I added a bit of that pink that you can see there, but not a lot, and you don't even see me adding that. That's a silver that I'm putting in. I wanted these to be nice and shiny. And then this is the Copic marker refill, which was a much darker color. And then I was just spreading that ink around with a blower. So now it's almost dry, and I'm just using the laminating foil to pick up, you know, the veining that's still a little bit damp on this. You don't want to use hot foil for this. It's the reactive foil that you need to use. But it's so pretty when it picks that up, and you'll see here, you can see that shine from the veining right there. And these are the alcohol inks cut into snowflakes. So it was a really pretty mix of blue and purples on this one and silver, I thought. Now this is regular cardstock, and these are metallic gilding polishes from Cosmic Shimmer. I'm going to list everything down below because I used an awful lot of stuff in this video, guys, but I'll try to list it all. But here you can see I'm just ink blending with the darker of the two blues, or bluey greens. And it's a very messy ink blending job. These gilding polishes come with their own little applicator built in the lid, but it's got lots of shine. It really makes for a pearlescent paper, those metallic gilding polishes. But I'm adding some Distress mica spray stains on. I'll list those colors down below. I think it was Peacock Feathers and Lucky Clover. I don't even know if I've got the right names. And that's it dried. And then when I went to cut these out, I have to say I was a little disappointed that there wasn't more variation in color. so maybe I should have done a worse ink blending job. But I took my distress glazes to this, so I've got the crackle paste, and this is a translucent paste, and I've put that on one side and again added the glitter. Now maybe because when I cut these snowflakes there's very little surface, I didn't find I got much crackling with this, but it did give a very nice glossy finish that you really don't see here in the video, I don't think. But it was quite pretty. And then here's the grit paste. Now I've got quite a bit of clumping on this large one, but I actually quite like that. I think my paste is drying out a little bit, but it kind of gave a snowy look to it, I thought. And then I cut a few of these snowflakes from silver foil cardstock, and I've also cut a few out of white cardstock, and so I've got a whole box of snowflakes. So let's make some cards. I've got a 5x7 card, and I'm using some of that Stormy Sea shimmer cardstock. I've covered it with that. And then I'm also going to use the stitched square frames dies, and I've cut that out of white. I just wanted to get a bit of a geometric pattern with this, so I'm taping with low-tack tape my big square down so I can measure where I need to cut these smaller squares. And I taped them together, so I cut them at the same time, and they were both the same size then. And so now I'm just going to glue these back. So I started with the big one, and I'm just gluing that right down in the, well, I hope that's the center. I just eyeball everything, so I never know if they're quite right or not. And then I'm going to glue the rest of these square pieces down, just eyeballing, hoping that they're sort of lined up. And then I've glued 2 silver snowflakes down, and then this one I'm going to glue right down in the middle, over top of that. And now this is going to be a winter birthday card. So I am putting this wishes on because I think, you know, there's lots of people that have birthdays in the middle of winter, and a snowflake is just a really pretty way to make a birthday card, I think. So there it is. I've added a few little pearls to this one on the snowflakes and all around. And then just the wishes, so kind of simple. I think it could be a fair man, maybe, this card, maybe. Okay, so for this card I'm using thick vellum, as you can see there. I'll link to this down below. It's from Amazon, but it is really nice and thick, this vellum. And I've got some more of the metallic gilding polishes, and again I'm going to do a messy job of ink blending, but but I wanted a bit of an ombre, so I'm starting with the darker purple and spreading that onto this vellum. It goes on really fairly easily, actually. And then I went to the blue, the darker blue, and finished off with that light green color. And so now it does curl a little bit when it's still wet, that stuff, but if you let it dry, I actually blow dried it so it uncurled. But I'm using the Tufted Elegance 3D embossing folder, and you can see how well it did on that vellum. So I wanted to frame this so I didn't have to worry about attaching it. So I've got the stitched rectangles die, and I've got the largest one, and I had to do a little extended die cutting on that 5x7 card front. But then I've put some glue down on that, and I'm just going to glue my vellum piece to that frame to start. So just pressing that down, and then I will glue the back of the vellum in the frame and attach that to my card front. So again, it's a 5x7 card. But then I got to this point and I thought, well, wouldn't that be nice to have little stars on all those intersecting points? So you're probably going, oh no, she's not, but I did. I think it only took 5 to 7 minutes. I did a few rows at a time, just a little dot of glue on those points and added in a star. And I'm so glad I did because I think that's so pretty now. So then I've added that white snowflake, and I've popped this one up on a bit of foam tape just in the center, and I'm putting that on top. And then this little piece was from one of the older snowflakes, and again I've put foam tape behind that, and I just thought that was a very pretty center for the snowflake. So that's actually 2 layers of foam tape there now. But it's so pretty. I thought that was pretty. And then all I did is I've added in that peace sentiment down at the bottom. I stacked and layered that on 2 layers of white cardstock and the one of silver foil. So that's that card. Okay, so for this card, I'm going to make it a gatefold. So I have an 11-inch wide piece of cardstock by 5.5 inches tall, and I'm going to score this at 2 3/4 inches and 8 1/4. And that's going to be the two gates on the gatefold part. So you can see there, I'm just going to fold this over and burnish it. And then the other one will fold over to match it in the middle. And I'll burnish that as well. So that's a gatefold card. Now you could leave it just like that and just, have it open like that. But I thought, wouldn't that be fun to add a little bit more to the opening? So I'm using the Vintage Labels 2 die set here. Now at this point you actually don't need the 2 dies, you just need the larger of those two. But I had these taped together for a frame when I was practicing a card earlier. So I'm now just tacking that left side down with low tack tape. And then I can open this up and I will die cut just the left side. So when you run it through, you want to make sure that you've got this opened up for sure. So I've cut the left side, and so now before I remove that, I'm just going to flip it over and I will remove that low tack tape and put it over on the right side. And so now I can open this up and run this side through my die cutting machine. And that way I know I've got it so it exactly lines up. Now I took the dies apart, I've kept the larger of the two, and I took another one that was I think 2 sizes larger, and I'm going to make a frame. So I've tacked these 2 dies together now, and I'm using silver foil for my frame. And I've cut that out, and so now to attach that I'm going to again use my low tack tape and tack it down on the left side, and then I will put glue on the right. And all of this is so I know how to cut it basically. So then I will glue it down on the right side, remove that low tack tape, and then I can just trim this off right at the edge of the card, and then that piece that's left will get glued up and I'll just put it on the other side of my opening. And that way I'll have 2 halves that match in the middle. Now on the inside I am putting this Enchanting Christmas piece of paper. I've trimmed it down to be just under 5.5 inches wide, just so that it doesn't interfere with the folds. And I've cut it to be 5.5 inches tall. And now I've got a whole bunch of my snowflakes. I think these were the alcohol inked snowflakes. And I've added in some of those embossed die cuts that were from the Enchanting Christmas on the inside. And now you can see I've put some glue just on the 3 sides of this snowflake that will attach to the white outside. So the other edges are floating free, but I have a plan for this. So I've die cut 2 of everything out of that alcohol ink, and so I'm going to glue this one up on the inside and sandwich it to the other one. So now they're attached on both sides of that flap. So I'm doing the same thing again down here, just gluing these snowflakes together. And then I've done one more on the right, and I just added a few little pearls to this, and I've got the joy sentiment. Now it can only, I'm going to attach it on the left, so it can only attach just a little bit there on the left, and then I can put a bit of glue on the snowflakes that are in behind it. So there is not a lot that holds this in place, but it seems to be doing okay. So I'll just add some glue. Now I would say if you do this, open up the card, because I ended up getting a little bit of glue that went through to that pattern paper in behind. So I think if you open that up when you go to glue it down, it would be better. But I thought that was kind of pretty that it's got the snowflakes inside and outside. It's definitely a kind of card where you write on the back. Now off camera I made a couple more cards. This is another vellum card, and you can see I've cut the same size 3 squares of white cardstock. On the left I've used that snowflake stencil to do a little bit of stenciling on the left side with Versamark ink, and I've used a green and a silver embossing powder. I used a circle to die cut out the negative of that snowflake to make the background centerpiece, and then I've added the stars in as well and that peace sentiment, and I thought that was just kind of a fun card. And then here's another one. I had done some more vellum with the greeny blue metallic gilding polishes, added the stars, and I did some metallic gilding polish with the darker of those two inks onto that scrap cardstock, and added in those snowflakes to the center with a little gem in the middle there, and the Merry Christmas. So I hope that's given you guys some ideas. I think the snowflakes are so beautiful. They're just, I don't know. I don't like it when it snows here, but it's nice to see snowflakes on a card. So thanks for stopping by, everybody, and taking the time. I hope you'll come back for the next one. Hope you're having a great day, everybody. Bye.